This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Luis Obispo County. Today we are joined by Anthony Kalvans. He is an elected member of the San Miguel Community Services District, which is what? Where is San Miguel and what is the CSD?
You know, that used to be our slogan, is where is San Miguel? Because
Right.
most people who live there end up there by accident.
Okay.
But we're 7 miles north of Paso Robles, right next to the Camp Roberts military base, and we're just south of the Monterey County line. So a lot of people used to think a long time ago that we were in Monterey County because we were right next to it.
Right. Tell us about the community.
The community has one of the unfortunate things is we have one of the highest poverty rates in our county at 23%. We're very reliant on the wine industry for jobs as well as the military base. And then some people even commute as far north as San Ardo for the oil fields.
Oh, wow. And give us a sense of the CSD. What is its focus?
The CSD was actually a mix of different districts that used to be working for several decades, but we do water, sewer, firefighting, street lighting, and garbage services. And actually one thing about our sanitary department was that it was actually built by the Army Corps of Engineers for the war effort.
So let's talk about water. Part of the reason why I wanted you to join us,
Sure.
because the reality is that whether a district serves 2,500 people or 250,000 or 2.5 million, we are all part of the solution.
Course.
And so I want to get a sense, what is your CSD doing to try to play its part in managing the drought?
Well, as some of your viewers may have known, there is the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act called SGMA. We are bound by that. We have to develop our own groundwater sustainability plan and groundwater sustainability area. We're also involved in the Paso Basin Advisory Committee, which is working on developing regional solutions.
And let's talk about those two items. So groundwater has become a bit controversial, needless to say.
Yes.
As you mentioned, this act was passed last year. It requires communities to develop their own groundwater management plan. If they don't, the state will come in.
Sure.
And the groundwater is particularly critical for your community because it is your sole source of water.
Yes.
So how is your specific groundwater basin doing? We'll talk about Paso momentarily, but your groundwater
Well,
basin.
we're all part of the same groundwater basin. The Paso Basin is very large, but in the San Miguel area where our wells are, as some of your viewers may have seen, we have the generalized groundwater depletion map, which shows the red areas where the water level has depleted. San Miguel, where our wells are, we have not seen the same amount of depletion.
So you're part of the Paso Basin, but in your portion of the basin, we don't see those hot spots.
There is one hot spot across the river. We have one well that is pretty much out of commission, but where our wells are, we have not seen that kind of depletion.
Why?
Probably because we're at a lower elevation and that all the water naturally runs towards San Miguel. And we have great soil that collects and absorbs the water, especially when it rains. Also, we naturally, we do voluntary conservation, but our residents have been conserving already. So we aren't drawing significantly onto the basin.
And when you think about that reality, is it because your residents, like you said, are more economically challenged, so don't have significant water needs? Or is it because they are making their effort to conserve, or both?
It's both. If you look in the older parts of town where there is higher poverty, no one has lawns. People often take their laundry to the laundromat to get it washed. In the more affluent neighborhoods, they're under HOA. Some of the residents have already been going over to turf conversion, which we offer for free. And it's not even the district that offers it, it's the garbage company.
I must ask you about turf conversion because you basically gave the headline, but I had no idea this was happening. When we think about turf conversion, we so often focus upon literally you take out your green grass, you put in artificial plastic turf. That's not what's happening in San Miguel.
No.
Something more interesting.
What we do, actually the garbage company, they have a lot of wood chips on hand, and so people can call the garbage company San Miguel Garbage if they live in our community, and they can place an order to pick up these wood chips. Either pick them up from the garbage office or when they're doing their rounds through town, they can have it dropped off at no cost to the owner, no cost to the district, and the only real cost, I guess, is time.
Who's removing the grass?
The homeowner is.
But the wood chips cost zero. And can they be aesthetically pleasing?
Yes, I personally use them on my own yard. I bought actually about a yard. Not bought, please forgive me.
Yeah.
But
You have a yard and you've adopted this
yes.
tool. How does it look?
Actually, it looks a lot better than it used to.
I was going to say.
Because my ground's actually a little bit tough, and so my plants haven't done too well. So I've actually had to remove all the weeds and put in the wood chips. It looks a lot better. It makes the neighborhood look a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
Right. I want to talk about the Paso Basin.
Yes.
Because you mentioned that. And for better or for worse, we've been talking about the Paso Basin a lot lately.
I know.
On Charter Local Edition. And so the Paso Basin, like you said, it's very large. It includes San Miguel. But in parts, I guess, to your south, the hot spots are dramatic. I mean, there has been so much, I guess you could say overdrafting, that there's a lot of fear and concern.
There is a lot of fear and concern. We understand that over the city of Paso and over the Jardine and Ground Squirrel Hollow areas, also known as Geneseo, we have seen since 1997 a 70-foot drop in water elevation, and people's wells have gone dry. Even out in the San Juan area, which is near Shandon, there's also been a 70-foot drop.
And so has that drop caused either subsidence, where the ground is collapsing on itself, or are you close enough to the coast where you're seeing seawater intrusion?
Actually, it's neither. The biggest problem, especially for the Jardine area, is the fact their soil is adobe clay.
Which means?
Which means that it doesn't absorb water when it rains, and it's very hard, so it doesn't do anything. It's just, so all the water that gets pumped out of it, the ground doesn't move, at least as far as we're aware of, but it doesn't absorb water either, so it just keeps getting depleted and depleted.
So what's happening now with the Paso groundwater basin? I know the County Board of Supervisors has, I guess there's a temporary fix. Is that a fair way to say it?
Well, the county has come up with their conservation programs. They'll be voting on that later on this month. There is also talk about about a proposed water district to manage the area. That's been very controversial. Some people are in favor of it, some people are against. But the big thing is that we still don't have anything in plan to deal with recharging the water underneath the Jardine areas or in the San Juan areas.
Let's talk about recharge. It may be that you may not have to recharge anything because we could have an El Nino come this winter the size that we've never seen.
Sure.
There have been predictions that this El Nino could be a Godzilla, a monster, the biggest one we've seen since the 90s. You mentioned San Miguel's soil is very absorbent, and so what is San Miguel doing, let it be, to prepare for a potential El Nino?
Actually, we're working with the Los Tablas Resource Conservation District to do recharge basins just outside of our district. We're also looking at doing feasibility studies so we can start recharging that groundwater instead of it just flowing through the river and out of the community, because when they put the mission there, they were thinking long-term about the water sustainability.
Sure.
So we want to take all these rivers that meet the Estrella, the Salinas, and even San Marcos Creek and Vineyard Creek that are nearby, and then just start recharging all the water that will be flowing in.
Do you have that technical ability right now?
Unfortunately, we're working with the Last House Resource Conservation District to do that, so we can get the feasibility study going. But as of right now, because without a feasibility study, we can't just run out the door and start spending money.
And you're not alone, though. I mean, there are plenty of communities that don't have the ability to capture the water if it comes with the El Nino in such a way that it can be maintained.
Right. But here's the other thing, though, I also want to point out, is that even if we do have a giant El Nino, people in Jardine and Ground Squirrel Hollow, that won't help them because that water through the adobe clay, it won't absorb it. It'll flow and then it'll start flooding on their neighbor's property and make a giant mess. Other areas where they don't have as thick of adobe clay, it'll take about 20 years for it to actually reach the aquifer.
His name is Anthony Kalvans. He is a director with the San Miguel Community Services District. My name is Brad Pomerance, and this is Charter Local Edition.